A good Sunday morning, afternoon, and evening to you, joining us from different parts of the world. I am Banafsheh Sayyad, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our monthly Ubiquity Chartres Academy community webinar. I welcome those of you who have been a part of the Academy since its inception, and those of you who have just discovered us. So welcome to you all. This monthly gathering has been held every month for 14 years now in preparation for the university's annual pilgrimage to our beloved Chartres, that sacred portal known as the womb of the world, as Joseph Campbell called her. In today's webinar, we don't have Jim Garrison with us. He's traveling. He's in Italy right now, and he didn't have internet connection. That's why I'm moderating the call, the webinar. We will hear from one of our core faculty and founding members of the Academy, Andrew Harvey, and reflections from one of the featured faculty in the July course, The Cosmic Dance of Astronomica, Linda Tucker. We will also spend some time on the details of all three journeys that are planned for France this summer. But first, as has been the custom, we will begin our gathering with an invocation by Apela, Colorado, one of the founding members of the Academy, our very own indigenous scientist who will lead the dream work and ritual in Chartres. Thank you, Apela.
Good morning, Banafsheh, and good morning to everyone on this call from around the world. Lighting the flame of spirit. Let the smoke rise to take our prayers to Mother Earth, the Father Sky, to our Creator, and all the ancestors that give us the power to be, to breathe, to know, to intuit, to walk this earth. We'll give thanks today for those heavenly beings, the star people, the clouds, Grandmother Moon, that give us the direction, that give us the cycles of birth, of death, of renewal. And we greet our older brother, the sun, whose life-giving rays caress Mother Earth with each dawn. In this time of Astronomica, we come together. Let this virtual unity be real. Let the spark of fire within this flame of this smudge stick, the spark of fire within our computers, join the spark of fire called the divinity, the reality of us with all. Ah, Mama, Uanoa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Apela. Everyone, the Ubiquity Chartres Academy is founded upon a deep reverence for and affinity with the Chartrean masters and the Chartres Academy of 1,000 years ago, and has endeavored to recreate the liberal arts that they presented as a refined artistic expression, uniting matter and spirit, connecting with the divine fire that Apela was guiding us to. Each year, the Academy, the Ubiquity Chartres Academy, has presented a course around one of the liberal arts. And we're now concluding the second cycle of the 7 liberal arts, which culminate with Astronomica. The liberal arts, as most of you know, begin with the trivium that give you an understanding, give us an understanding of language, with grammatica, the art of inventing symbols, dialectica or logic, the art of thinking, and rhetorica, the art of communicating thought. The trivium then moves into the quadrivium, which gives an understanding of the world, and specifically in terms of number. Musica is the 4th liberal art, and it's the number in time. Arithmetica, number underlining all of creation. Geometrica, number in space. And all of them culminating in Astronomica, number in time and space. In our time together in July, we will explore and celebrate Astronomica in terms of the interconnectedness of all that is, and specifically how we understand the gravity of our time in relationship to the planetary and celestial alignments, as we are in a constant cosmic dance with the whole universe. Looking at our world from the big picture, from this interconnected big picture perspective, can change how we live in the world and how we affect and influence our world. It's an invitation to become cosmic beings, at once in harmony with the earth and the greater universe. As we anticipate spring in this time of the end of winter and honor women, specifically in this month of March, it is very apropos to continue our discussion on the Black Madonna that Anne Baring so massively began last month. As many of you know, starting back from 3,500 years ago, long before the Christians were in France, on the hill where the Chartres Cathedral now stands, the Druids and the Celts had fashioned a Black Madonna that they ceremoniously brought above ground on spring equinox and back underground on fall equinox, again in great ceremony. Today, the Black Madonna sits in the underchurch or crypt like on a throne. Anne Baring referred to her as sitting on the throne of wisdom. I'm going to share with you the image of the Black Madonna in the underchurch in the crypt. She's sitting on the throne of wisdom, and this is she also sitting like Isis. Isis, as you know, her name means throne or seat. Matthew Fox writes, the word for throne in Latin is cathedra. The medieval church that gave birth to cathedrals, over 125 were built the size of the Chartres Cathedral, and every single one was dedicated to Mary, with such titles as Notre Dame de Chartres, Notre Dame de Lyon, Notre Dame de Paris, etc. And over 375 other churches the size of these cathedrals were built dedicated to Mary. In many of these cathedrals, a Black Madonna can be found even to this day. A cathedral with definition meant the throne where the goddess sits, ruling the universe with compassion and justice for the poor. Clericalism and sexism have co-opted the invention of cathedral, Matthew Fox says, to mean the place where the bishop has his throne. This is false, he says. The cathedral is designed to be the center of the city. It is bringing the goddess to the center of the city so that the city can become alive with the energies and values of the goddess. So what does the Black Madonna represent, and why is she re-emerging in our time? What power does she bring with her? The Black Madonna is dark and calls us to darkness. She invites us into the dark and therefore into our depths, the soil of our being. She calls us down to honor our lower chakras and our connection with the earth. This is why she so perfectly resides in the underchurch of the Chartres Cathedral. She is the root and the ground from which everything grows from. Just like Mother Earth, who is dark and fecund and busy birthing, so is the Black Madonna. Matthew Fox calls the Black Madonna's return as an environmental revolution. She represents ecology and paying attention to the environmental issues that alert us today. The Black Madonna is also the great cosmic mother on whose lap all creation exists. The universe itself is embraced and mothered by her. She invites us to become cosmic beings, coming to in a relationship of wholeness with the entire cosmos, which in Greek means whole. Physicists have been telling us more and more that there's an underlying background energy that exists everywhere in space that they call the vacuum, referred to by some other physicists as dark energy, which makes up 95% of the universe. Meister Eckhart calls God's darkness a super essential darkness, a mystery behind mystery, a mystery within mystery that no light has penetrated. The vacuum or the dark energy of physics is considered the source of the material world. That's only 5% of the energy of the universe. The Black Madonna guides us into becoming cosmic beings, intimate at once with the earth and the greater universe. So to illuminate in his own words the blackness of the divine mystery, it's my honor to introduce my dear friend, colleague, and teacher, Andrew Harvey, one of the founding members of the Ubiquity Chartres Academy, mystic scholar, writer of more than 30 books, and the founder of the Institute of Sacred Activism. Invite him to speak to us about the Black Madonna, whom he knows very intimately. Andrew.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Banafsheh, for the most noble and gorgeous and all-embracing vision of our Dark Mother. I really bow to the depth of the wisdom that you speak of her, and bow to the sacred feminine authority of the way in which you speak of her. I call the Black Madonna the Dark One. And I only call her the Dark One because I have to call her something. The Black Madonna or Kali or the Dark One or just she is nothing less than total reality. Reality in its absolute horror and madness and disintegration and savagery, and reality in its glory and ecstasy and order, all together, always. That is who what we call the Black Madonna is. And even saying something like that makes me want to tremble, because when you connect through her shattering grace with the super essential darkness, the no thing at the core of everything, the black energy that is giving birth to the light, the black energy that is the secret source of all the million universes, the black energy that is unnameable mystery, that is impenetrable mystery, when you even begin to glimpse that, you realize how empty and vain all words, even the most beautiful, are. My great initiation into the Black Madonna came very young, when my mother tried to abort me twice in the womb. And that, to me, is and remains the touchstone of the Black Madonna, because her cobra bit me at that moment. And then she erupted me into sacred India and worked on my life to bring me to her in her glory. So I know the cobra and the glory. And it is absolutely clear to me now, at this time in my life, at this time in my evolution, as it must be clear to many of you, that we are in a dark one moment. We are in an evolutionary crisis that is entirely governed by the dark one, the Black Madonna, Kali, because it is that face that the nothing is turning towards us to wake us up, or annihilate us if we don't wake up, because we have simply become a virus on the planet. What is astounding to me is the paradox that I'm beginning to glimpse at the heart of her wild dance. And that is itself a paradox, because what she is waking us up to is horror beyond belief, annihilation beyond imagination, being absolutely clearly in front of us if we continue in our pathological insanity, or birth of a wholly new kind of humanity, a humanity of what Banafsheh so beautifully called cosmic individuals. That's the choice that the Dark One is giving us right now. What is astonishing is that this choice is also the most magnificent, deranging, ecstatic act of mercy and of blessing, because it is a choice that, if you face it, will kill your false self, birth you into your divine human self, give you access to wholly new levels of joy and energy and meaning and commitment and passion, because you'll be living a deathless life through the grace of her crucifixion. So in the limited time that I have, I want to begin by sharing with you one of the holiest moments of my journey into her, when I was with Bede Griffiths, the greatest mystic of the Christian church in the 20th century, while he was dying and clearly going through a transfiguration process, which he was conscious enough to know. And I asked him one night when he was lucid, and when he was lucid, he was in God consciousness. I asked him, what was the Black Madonna? What was the Dark One to him at this moment of his being torn apart and resurrected in the heart, mind, soul, and body, which was the process he was in? And he said something that I have never forgotten, and that is the key for me to everything I'm going to say to you. He said, for me, she is the darkness in which the lovers lose themselves. She is the darkness in which the lovers lose themselves. And the more you turn those words, the more of her amazing and terrible facets of power flash out at you, because she's at once the unknowable mystery, the dark, hidden absolute, which not even the most inspired ecstatic angels have any idea of. She is that darkness to which you come, which says to you, die into me and forget any agenda you've ever had, and realize you've known nothing about anything until you've seen me. And when you've seen me, you know nothing and will never know nothing. And it's all right, because you're so ecstatic with awe and gratitude to have been shown just a fringe of the fathomless no thing at the core of everything. But it's also, when you really turn it, it's also terrifying, because the lovers do lose themselves. And it doesn't say they find anything. It's about annihilation of illusion, of the false self, of any kind of spurious comfort, however subtle and however inspiring, on whatever level you comfort yourself with. She is now dancing full on naked in a world evolutionary crisis. And it's essential to face this first, because she will not give the diamond of her deathless awareness to anyone who isn't brave enough to just see exactly what is going on and grow the strength through her grace to face it, and to really allow himself or herself to be so transformed by it that he or she is born in the new dimension of birth that she is now enacting with astounding glory and ferocity on the earth. So you've got to see that we're now in one of the last stages of Kali's dance, of the great dance prophesied by the sages. There are 4 stages. The first stage is ominous, when the signs of impending apocalypse start and nothing is done about them, and that stage turns into dangerous, in which those signs become ever more insistent, and still out of magical thinking, out of trauma, nothing is done about it. And then that dangerous stage mobilizes into the severe stage. And then if nothing is done at that level, when everything is visibly cracking apart, the animals are being slaughtered, the poor are getting poorer, the 1% are becoming insanely rich and dominating everything and buying all the political systems to reflect their own insane desire for power. If you can't see that's going on, you are living in an alternative universe, and you will die by the dark fantasy of your denial. That is what she's saying, it seems to me, to us all. That's the dark side, and you can't get to her blessing without going through that utter, naked, heartbroken recognition of our situation, because what she's going to reveal to you then is that the black diamond of truth is hidden in the very darkest kind of awareness. That is her shattering derangement of all of our orders, all of our religions, all of our dogmas, and it's her baptism in extreme love. Because once you really see where we are, and where we are almost likely to continue to be because of our fantastic blindness and our fabulous sloth and our paralysis of the soul, when you see that, you are awed and brought to your knees at the majesty of her ruthlessness. And when you see that and feel that, then a huge new insight dawns in you, and that is that she and you are not separate, that you are this entire exploding process, and that your job is to turn up with her clarity, but also with the wild, gorgeous, creative love blazing behind all that destruction. A love that is preparing on the earth the birth of an embodied divine humanity. And that birth, as you heard very clearly in Banafsheh's words, because she couldn't be speaking like that if she didn't know her own version of what I'm describing, and have so much wisdom to communicate to us from it. When you realize that she is simultaneously destroying every single imaginable illusion in order to birth an unimaginable possibility, then you're beginning to comprehend through her grace something of her utterly shattering mystery. So I just want to end with the four faces that she's turning towards me now, which irrigate me with awe, astound me, and make me want to pour my life out in joy, in celebration of her insane and totally sane alchemy of transfiguration. What could be crazier than dancing the dance of total destruction in order to birth a wholly new level of humanity? That's a crazy game, and it seems to me that's the one that she's playing. And when you contemplate it, you fall into the darkness in which lovers lose themselves with shattered heartbreak, but also, much more importantly, with shattered awe and amazement and rapture and gratitude beyond any words to express. So to me, those four faces of this, the first face that she turns is the face of the grandeur of the unknowable mystery. She's just saying to us, who the hell do you think is in control of this entire universe, is one with this entire universe, is exploding simultaneously in every process of this universe. And you think you can control me or understand me or bring me into any of your tidy little religions and mystical systems. You've got a second thing coming. You have to change everything to get anywhere near knowing even a little of a little, a quark or a neutrino of who I am. That's the first face. I find that face the most beautiful of all, because that to me means safety, means unbelievable awe at an astounding, mad beauty of abyssal unknowing. That must be the reality of reality. How else could you conceive of a mystery except that shattering and amazing? And the second face that she turns to me is the face of nature, the face of the glory and the horror being one thing in nature. The lion that is the most majestic creature tears apart the gazelle. And is the lion any less divine when the lion is roaring in majesty than when the lion is tearing apart the gazelle? And is the gazelle any less divine when it is roaming free or when it is being torn apart? Once nature starts to lead you into the shattering coincidence of opposites that dances in everything in nature, you start to lose yourself and find your natural divine self. The third face she's turning to me is the face that Banafsheh hinted at so beautifully when she talked about the face of a liberated sexuality. And this is the face of the Tantra. But the Tantra isn't only liberated sexuality. There are really four kinds of Tantra that are being born by this tragic, extreme, heart-shattering experience we're all going through on the earth. And they are signs of this great cosmic birth. First kind of Tantra that I'm noticing is what I would call suprasexual, people coming together, men, women, men and women, men and men, to pour themselves out, to help and to do whatever they can with everything that they've learned and been given to do something about this crisis. I have this relationship with Linda Tucker, who's here. I have it with Jim. I have it with Banafsheh. This is not just friendship, it's profound love in deep loyalty and deep passion to do something together that will really help. This is a new kind of Tantra. The second kind is the ecstatic, liberated sexual Tantra being born on the earth between people who have truly done their shadow work, both on their Puritanism and on their pornography, to meet each other in adoration and nobility and worship. This is here now on the earth, and it is changing all of the different understandings of gay and straight, and in fact of sexuality itself, because it's revealing her great charism that sexuality is meant to be worship of her through the other, worshipped as the divine human. This is the key to the transfiguration of humanity. The third face that she's turning towards me is the fourth, I'm so sorry, this is such a dazing and amazing subject. The fourth is the great and most frightening face, I think, for all of us, but the most liberating, and that's the face of the burnt and shattered woman, the crucified woman, the one screaming at the grave of her burnt child, the whale who is nursing its dead child because it swallowed pus stick for 3 days before abandoning it to the sea. It's that part of her that we're all terrified of feeling. And that is the feeling of Mary at the crucifixion. That is the feeling of Mary Magdalene sobbing at the foot of the cross. That's the feeling of every single human being, male or female, now seeing what's happening on every level to our amazing world, seemingly beyond any power that we have to stop the devastation being absolutely terrible, whatever happens, even if it's good. How do you live all of those things together? To live together in the one with the dark one? That's the question. And the only way is to fuse together through her grace and through constantly calling out to her the total humility of unknowing before unknowable mystery. The rapture of the coincidence of opposites at the face of nature, revealing her interpenetrating dance in everything. And nature includes quantum physics, which is revealing the truth of this. And you unite that through her grace with a wholly new way of loving loving the animals and receiving their wisdom through that love beyond all of the prejudices that have prevented it from being born, all of the religions, all of anything that can stop you understanding that the being in front of you, the animal being, is holy and wise and unbelievably loving from the core of nature and longing to give you secrets you haven't yet imagined. The superstellar and sexual, supersexual vision, the tantric vision, the vision of profound tenderness towards all the whole creation, this new love that's being born in new bottles. And then you have to mix it all, otherwise you're faking it with the heartbreak, the shatteredness, because that's what gives the fire that you're going to need to be her loving, wild, holy, humble, surrendered servant in reality, so that you too can become a child birther with her out of her horror. So that's what I'd like to try and say about the Black Madonna.
Wow, thank you so much, Andrew. But you leave me and everyone speechless, trying to integrate what you're bringing about
Well,
the
I think
one
the
that you
two of
can't
us are
speak
bringing,
about.
darling, it was you who honed it, because the way in which you began was so much a glowing vision of the birth that you know through the discipline of the body. That's what I'm bringing, is the death in the birth, and the two together are really what people need to listen to, because none of us have the truth about her. If anybody claimed to know anything about the Black Madonna, they would really be insane. And I, at this stage in my life, am finally beginning to go sane.
She continues to be the deep, deep mystery.
Always.
And so I would like to call on Linda Tucker now, who is the founder of the White Lion Protection Trust, for those of you who haven't met her. She has worked with extraordinary courage and tenacity to protect the white lions in South Africa. Linda will join us in Chartres in July when she will share the history and mythology of the white lions, revered as especially sacred since the time of the pharaohs and regarded as king of lions by indigenous elders. The white lions are linked to the star system Sirius and are understood to share profound astrological and spiritual connection with humanity. Linda believes that the white lions are present in our time to show us the courage and humility to reconnect with nature and the larger ecology. She was sharing with us that she believes the Black Madonna has a profound relationship to the emergence of lion-hearted leadership, shifting patriarchy to the lioness way, which she will also teach us in Chartres in July. I can't wait for that. But Linda, please, let us hear from you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be in connection with all of you, to be returning to Chartres again 7 years later. It was 7 years ago that we launched the Academy of Lionhearted Leadership at the opening of Chartres with Wisdom University. And Andrew and Apela have been founder members of the Academy of Lionhearted Leadership. So that emergence has been, you know, has had a very close connection with Chartres, with the Black Madonna. The date of the launch was the 5th of July, which you may know is the moment that the sun aligns with Sirius, thus signifying the birth of enlightenment. And it is such an honor to have been given the ancient shamanic mantle as a handover to protect these astonishing animals who are truly what they are prophesied to be. They are star animals. They hold star knowledge. And every major event around the white lions attests to the fact that they hold stellar knowledge, an understanding of bringing the heavenly plan down to earth. So to bring that into relationship with an understanding of the Black Madonna, for me, is a very personal experience, it links to my own life story, and then to the greater context which Andrew speaks into so powerfully about the call for humanity at this time to step into the ascended state, but not out of relationship with nature, to step into a much closer relationship with nature, a return to grace. That's how I see the invitation of the Black Madonna, uncompromising, zero tolerance for humanity's egotistical mismanagement of this planet. And to personalize it just for a moment, my own direct experience with the Black Madonna occurred one dark night in the African wilderness in 1991. I was rescued by a medicine woman who was a Black Madonna to all intents and purposes. Her name was Maria. She was a Black medicine woman who walked through a pride of lions to rescue me. That courage, that connection with the primordial force of power is the Black Madonna. And I've been studying that quality ever since, because she embodied that quality of right relationship with nature that truly has a contract with nature such that she is unstoppable. And as I mentioned, there were 24 lions in that pride who honored her as their family as she walked amongst them. So that quality of right relationship, the reason she could walk amongst them was that she felt absolute love and absolute respect for them and regarded them as her family. They, in turn, regarded her as their family, and to such an extent that they showed love and respect in return. That quality of lionheartedness is what has motivated my work with the lions and for the lions ever since. So I define lionheartedness as that quality of fearlessness that is inspired by love and respect for nature, that enables us to change our worlds, ultimately by changing our relationship with nature. When we relate this to Egypt, which is part of the profound knowledge system that informs the living white lions today, we relate it to Sekhmet, the personification of power of ancient Egypt, the goddess of first time. She is the Black Madonna in Egyptian terms. And Sekhmet, you'll know, is the lion-headed goddess of first time and end times. She is uncompromising, and she was called upon by Ra to clean up the planet. Humanity was so disrespectful of our divine inheritance that Ra called on ultimate measures, who came in the form of Sekhmet, half human, half lioness. I'm going to be showing you an image of this in a moment. And she had to clean up. You might remember that when she was going about her demolition, the fields ran with blood. And he tried to call her off this mission. And the blood combined then with pomegranate juice. Significantly, pomegranate in the ancient tradition of Africa and Egypt is associated with fertility. So the blood that was shed turned into pomegranate juice. And finally, she had gorged herself sufficiently such that she was drunk on this process of cleansing the earth. And the final outcome was a purging, a cleansing, and creation and destruction became one and the same. And the establishment, ultimately, of Ma'at, the central way, the way of balance on the planet. So you'll see the analogy and Andrew's reference to nature, the side of the Black Madonna that is nature, that will accept no more crucifixion of nature's sacred living heritage. That's the environment I live in as a conservationist, fighting for the protection of lions who are being treated as commodities. Once the king of animals is commodified, we really have crossed the last sacrilege that humanity can perpetrate against nature's divine inheritance. So I agree with Andrew. We are in the final stage of testing our ego against the divine law, the solar and stellar logos being tested against humanity's mismanagement of this planet. So we are on the very edge of experiencing what it is to be on the brink before nature reclaims her divine law. And if I can share with you now what Sekhmet looks like in the form of the white lioness that Andrew met in White Lion territories. Let's see if I can call up her image. I just need to share it in the full screen with you. Okay, so I'll hand over to Andrew in a moment, but this is the lioness who Andrew met on White Lion territories, the daughter of Mara, who personifies Isis, who you mentioned, the pure Madonna. This is the daughter who personifies Sekhmet, holding that zero tolerance message for humanity through love, because the earth cannot accept any more sacrilege, any more destruction. So she will clean up so that we can restore Mahat, right relationship. Andrew, this is Zaira.
Oh my God, Linda, thank you. All I would like to say, because I've already spoken, and is thank you so much, Linda, for putting it so absolutely and with the whole authority of your life. I love you. I had the honor of meeting Zaira in the first 2 days that I spent with Linda, now almost a decade ago, on her sacred land. And it was dusk, and we were looking for the white lions. We hadn't been finding them. We were totally drunk on the soft splendor of a South African late evening, and then suddenly, in the middle of the path, Zaira stood alone, just gazing at us with this shattering, lethal, glorious majesty. And what happened in that moment, I don't really ever want to understand, because I think it will go on exploding in my soul. But what I saw and felt was simultaneously Kali in all her fury and destruction and saying, this is over, and the glorious light mother, the white light mother that is birthing through the blue of her outrageous compassion a new humanity. That was the complete marriage of opposites happening in a divine animal, just killing forever any belief I had in the superiority of the human to the wisdom flashing out of creation. It was a devastating and birthing moment, and it was Zaira who, as Sekhmet, did it and does it. So thank you. I have Zaira on my wall in my home, and I look at her every single day to get real. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. That's very moving.
Oh, thank you, darling. Can't wait to see you.
I would like to ask, yes?
Yeah, and to share, to be back now 7 years later and share on Astronomica and the white lions who are precursors to the age of Leo Aquarius that is upon us. That is part of the turning of our ages. So thank you for this, this opportunity to introduce that through the Black Madonna.
Thank you very much. It's you shared with us before on in another webinar the connection of Leo and Aquarius in the time. We all talk about the age of Aquarius, but you pointed out how that's also Leo, because
Absolutely.
Leo is the reverse of Aquarius, and this is what you will be guiding us into in July in Astronomica, Cosmic Dance of Astronomica. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Garrison is here with us now. I would like to call on Jim Garrison to also say a few words and tell us more about the intensive in July, the Cosmic Dance of Astronomica, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I had to fly today Amsterdam to Milan and drive over the Italian roads up to the mountains of the foothills of the Alps, where I'm at a retreat center called Mandali, where we're launching a whole program with some of our Italian partners. So I was a bit delayed. So thank you, Banafsheh and Apela, for starting us off, and of course, Andrew and Linda. I would just like to make I think, two comments. One, to underscore the gravity of what Andrew and Linda are saying about the shattering presence of the Black Madonna. In terms of what you were saying, Andrew, that one of the functions of the Black Madonna when she rises is to strip away all illusions and to reveal us as we really are, because it's only in that state, stripped, naked, confronted by our own shadow, that any possibility of redemption even begins to exist. And I want to just underscore that in a highly paradoxical way for everyone. And that is probably in a mysterious way that is literally past understanding. Donald Trump is a function of the Black Madonna. I want everybody just to take that in for a moment, because what he is doing to all Americans, and in fact to the world, is stripping away the last vestige of a triumphalist mythology about what America is, the light on the top of the hill, and showing us who we really are, because he exemplifies everything that the United States and Western capitalism and the colonial mentality has come to be in the world. And that leads to the second point that I want to make, which is just to underscore what Linda was saying. We are in a day of reckoning. This next year is going to see the reckoning of the Trump presidency. We're going to have to deal, as Americans and as the world, are we going to countenance this face of ourselves? Or are we going to bring it low so that a new way of being can emerge? And it's in that spirit that I want to address everybody on this call. I believe that this course in July, Astronomica, may be the most important course you'll ever take or have taken for a very long time. Because we're going to have assembled there not only Linda and Andrew, but also Rick Tarnas, one of the great astrologers in the world. Ann Baring is coming. Other people are beginning to ask if they can come. And the attractor that I think now is Astronomica, between the 7th and the 13th of July in Chartres, is going to be a 7-day period where we look at what we've become as a species, rapaciously pillaging the planet, as Americans having elected a monster to the White House who's serving as an agent for the Kremlin. You can't make this stuff up. And it is imperative, urgently imperative, that every single one of us understand not only the gravity of what we've become, but the extraordinary possibility, if we are as fearless as the white lion. And I want to underscore that adjective that Linda brought into our council today, is fearlessness in the stark face of the real. You are either destroyed or you look back with fierce eyes in the spirit of fearlessness. And more than anything, we need as a community the spirit of the white lions now. And all of you who are thinking about coming to Chartres for this summer course, please consider it. If you have any financial issues that you are wrestling with, write me an email. We'll figure this out. But it's important that we come together in community in this moment to look reality in the eye, to drink deeply of the cup of wisdom that the lions bring to us in this moment. Because as Andrew said so profoundly and rightly, we humans are not the apex of reality. It is our illusion that we are that has caused us to be as violent as we've become. We need to learn from the eco field. We need to fall on our feet before the lions and before other species and before the indigenous people and before the Black Madonna. And so I just want to thank you, Andrew, for bringing the Black Madonna so powerfully into our midst today. And Linda for the fierceness of your presentation, and to encourage all of us to make a pilgrimage this year from wherever you are to come to Chartres, because that's the place, probably the one place in the whole world that is so deeply immersed in the feminine, the divine feminine, that whatever we've done to ourselves and the earth, we can take it to Chartres. We can take it to the Great Mother. We can take it to each other. And in that cauldron, descending into the crypt, walking the labyrinth, we can be a source of global redemption. That's what's at stake.
Can we turn to the people on this webinar and see if there are any questions, any comments? You can raise your hand, and if you would like to speak, you need to turn on your join audio. This is a new development, and Georg has put it in the chat as well.
I know that Anne's on the call. Anne, if you want to comment, and Apela, I would love you to share what you were sharing with me the other day about the kind of Druidic Celtic ritual that you want to bring into our midst. That's another aspect of this. We're in a place of the deep Celtic, Druidic presence And even though it's a Christian cathedral, the foundations are Druidic. And one of the things that Apela is going to be bringing in to Chartres this year is a further refinement of the Celtic Druidic substrate upon which the entire edifice of the cathedral is built. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful time, everyone. Very powerful, very potent.
What Jim is talking about is the fact that when we first came to Chartres in 2005, and the vision to create the Chartres Mystery School came to Jim, to Andrew, to Bob, the people on the bus, myself. What we didn't know is that approximately 2 months before we arrived there, a discovery was made at the base of the hill of the cathedral. Some municipal workers dug into the remains of a first century Gallo-Roman home that had been burned at some point in history. And as they began to excavate, they came upon the first and only complete Gaul ritual set. So I've been researching this for all these years, and what I'm proposing is that in August that we recreate that ritual. So it's a calling back and a calling forward, and the question is, in my mind, since the ritual set we arrive in the fall and have this vision, but the ritual set appeared before we came. So who is calling who? And now we're calling you. Join us in August and help recreate this integral ceremony.
Beautiful, thank you. I see Anne Baring. Anne.
Oh, hello. I'm here, I'm listening, I'm taking everything in. I think it's wonderful what everybody's been saying, Andrew and Linda. I have nothing more to say really, except to thank you both and to hope that somehow we're going to get through this time and open our world to a new vision, and totally new vision, in whatever way we can.
Any other questions? I see someone asking about whether whether we will have live recording, not for these summer journeys, not yet. And another question, is it possible to view last month's webinar by Anne Baring? Are you talking about the February? If you're talking about the February webinar, that's on YouTube. Any other questions? So I think we're ready, Apela, for the closing invocation.
This is a braid of sweetgrass, which is body, mind, and spirit together. And the thing about grass is that it's resilience. You can mow over it, you can step on it, and it springs back, right? When we're one. As we light this, we're also igniting the indigenous consciousness. The indigenous consciousness braided with the cords of unconditional love. And in reverence and honor to Sekhmet, to the Black Madonna, to Our Lady of the Pillar when she was her black self, I offer this smoke this morning, the smudge of sweet grass, the beautiful thoughts, creative energies, and a spirit of unity, focus, committedness, and energy, a tsunami of energy to do, to receive the message of the path, those things which we are called to do at this time. In accordance with this, I ask for blessings for Jim Garrison, who's held this vision for so long, and for the Mystery School of Chartres, and for our community, each of us on the phone, all of the participants who have attended Chartres for the past 13 years. I ask for blessings and for a creative joining of love and of strength. Ah, Mama, oh, I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Apela. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Banafsheh. Thank you for jumping in when I was delayed. Beautiful job. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's everyone come to Chartres. It's important. This may be the most important course you've taken in a very long while. We need to have community take deep counsel together. See you next month.